when shopping for something, you can be very concerned about sustainability.
It's a big premiere because I have two guests in one room for the first time ever. Today we'll talk about the world of retail and what can we as petroleum people who are close to petroleum and convenience retail learn from the classic retail, because there are so many interesting things happening there. And that's why I brought some experts in this field. Ulrika Bernhoff and Emma Wall.
Hi, I'm Ulrika and I'm Vice President of R.O.O.F. It's a Swedish agency and we're focusing on analyzing the consumer landscape, as we say, and advising companies and industries on what's going on and what will that mean to them.
Yeah, and I'm an analyst at HUI, and I work a lot with data analytics, consumer insights, and analyzing how the consumer landscape will affect retailers and what trends that they should act on.
Exciting. So let's start. All right, it's time for the 24/7 challenge. I'll ask you 7 questions, and you'll have only 24 seconds to respond. You ready?
Okay.
Art or science?
Art.
Offline retail or e-commerce?
E-commerce.
Mend or unmend?
Mend.
What do you like most about retail?
It's fun.
What you dislike most about retail?
When it's too commercial.
What's your superpower?
Ooh. Not thinking fast, at least.
IKEA or Spotify?
IKEA.
32 seconds. That's not bad. That's a decent result. Was it difficult to think about what you dislike most about retail?
No, it was more about how to explain it in a way that's
in a
okay
diplomatic
to
way.
say. Exactly.
In a proper way. Okay.
Exactly. It's like TMU. I don't like.
Okay.
You know.
IKEA versus Spotify.
I worked for IKEA for like 10 years or as a consultant, but I feel very close to IKEA. So that's why I choose IKEA.
Okay.
Actually. They're very big, but still they're agile and they manage to kind of find new solutions to changes.
Okay. So they're also changing and trying to stay on top of the game.
Yeah. They were quite slow in e-commerce in the beginning, but I think they pick up. Oh, I still admire them. They've opened like a totally new kind of concept store in Stockholm, a smaller one in the city of Stockholm, and it's become a success, as it always does. I don't know. So it's always a success around IKEA.
And we see that in our segment. So how big is the impact of this new evolving consumer experiences and consumer journeys in classic retail?
Yeah, I think it's major because we have all these new consumers and also the old consumers who are adapting, and all the consumers are getting more digitalized and they have higher expectations on both their digital experience but also the experience in the physical store. So as Ulrika said, she doesn't like when it's too commercial, and I don't like when it's inconvenient to shop in the physical store. I was actually at a sample sale this morning, or I tried to go to a sample sale, but the lines were super long, and therefore I decided to go home instead. But it's we can see that the similar kind of behavior is being made in regular stores, that when the lines are too long, consumers are very restless and tend to quit their purchase instead of completing it.
Mm-hmm.
And another challenge that retailers have is that the landscape is getting more and more fragmentized. And a consumer is not, I think we talked about that yesterday. You don't act the same way all the time. So when shopping for something, you can be very concerned about sustainability. And then 10 minutes later, you shop in another way, digitally perhaps, directly from China, very cheap and then not sustainable. So it's really hard for the retailers they have to be really agile to pick up and be able to pick up different kind of demands from different kind of customers.
And how do you generally segment these consumers in general? Is it by age? Because what I learned previously while reading some books about that, there was a usual way of doing this was by age. Yeah. Is it still relevant, or there are some different variables, different ways to segment consumers?
Yeah, I think it's quite relevant to segment them by age, but it's also relevant to look into each age group and see what different kinds of consumers who are in that age group. Because we see, we talked about Gen Z and the split with Generation Kardashian and Generation Greta.
That's my favorite. Can you just explain for our listeners a little bit about that concept?
Yeah, so we call it the great split of Gen Z, where we have one side, which is Generation Kardashian, who are living their best influencer life, shopping like crazy, being hyper consumer, shopping at Shein and flying around the world, not caring that much about their climate impact, but caring a lot about inclusion and valuing different cultures. And then we have Generation Greta, who is quite the opposite. So they only shop secondhand, they demonstrate for the climate, and they care a lot about sustainability. And the thing is that we have both these polarities, but one person can both be Generation Greta, only shopping secondhand, but then behaving like Generation Kardashian and traveling the world. So it's really hard to just put one consumer in a box.
And another way to segment that is you can actually use in almost all the industries is the Bourdieu model. I don't know if you have a French sociologist. And then you segment people on cultural capital, if you have high education, if you consume culture in many different ways, and also in economic capital, how much money you have. And there you get actually, if you have high economic capital and high cultural capital, you have high social capital. And that's what we today maybe call influencer. That's people that influence other people. So that can be interesting to look at actually, because in that group, the upper right corner, that's where the trends kick in and they influence other people and the mass market that maybe don't have that much money.
In terms of the dynamics, so once the purchasing power of Gen Z will grow, when do you think this switch to e-commerce or m-commerce, mobile commerce, will be happening? So what are we talking about? 5, 10, 15 years when it will take the share maybe more than 50% of all transactions in retail? Because currently the share is about 20%, I think, right?
Oh, but it's going back. Now, at least we can see that in Sweden. And it's probably after it went up a lot during the pandemic. And now actually physical stores are gaining shares again.
Yeah, we can see that off-price retailers, so they are really growing in the physical retail. So they are opening a lot of stores, and it's not the same experience to shop at a discount retailer when you shop online. So that drags the consumer to the physical retail environment.
So the retail of the future is combination of online plus offline.
Like omni-channel.
Omni-channel, okay. So let's talk about omni-channel, because to me, it's one of the buzzwords that I think it's like a love and hate when it comes to omni-channel. I think most of people now understand the concept, but there are so many technological and other limitations to implement that. So what's the first step, and what are the key learnings when implementing omni-channel experience?
I think the main challenge is to find the purpose of your physical store, because we see that it's a great split that we have in the physical stores. The discount retailers who have quite, they have a large purpose of their physical store, because people go there and it's like a hunt where you hunt for products with low prices. But then when you are more a regular retailer, who has an online offering, then the store has to offer something else than to just purchase the product. So you have to build relationship with the consumer. You have to offer a nice environment which the consumer wants to visit. And we see that a lot of retailers are going to implementing sections in the store which the customers can hang out in and hang out with their friends and also make purchases. So the store is not only a place where you go to shop, but also to spend your time.
So diversification of services in the store, that's what we're talking about.
But in the same time, you need to integrate the systems because that's a big issue that the companies are facing when trying to be omnichannel. So we see a lot of investments in that back end now. So because the consumers want it to be frictionless, they want it to feel the same, either they're shopping online or in the store, but it isn't now.
What's the ultimate state? Just the consumer gets into the shop, grabs what he wants and goes away, or how should it look like?
It can look that way, as you talked about Sapka yesterday. Super smooth. You just want something and you take it. You don't even have to get your card there. And it can be like Emma also talked about yesterday, like in Lululemon, you go to the store and you do yoga. You want to hang out there. You want to meet like-minded people.
I'll ask you 3 questions and you'll have 3 options for every single question. And you need to guess which one was given by ChatGPT and which of the other 2 options I made myself. Question number 1. Which celebrity holds the record in total dollar amount spent in the single Walmart shopping spree? 3 options. Option number 1, 50 Cent. Option number 2, Ozzy Osbourne. Option number 3, Shaquille O'Neal. What's your guess?
Ozzy
Osbourne? What do you think?
50 Cent?
50 Cent. All right, so you're both wrong. It's Shaquille O'Neal. During his interview in HBO, he said that he has spent $70,000 in one night at Walmart, and American Express thought his card was stolen.
Okay.
Question number 2. What is the most rapidly changing segment of retail in 2023? 3 options. Option number 1, consumer electronics and technology. Option number 2, food and grocery. Option number 3, luxury retail.
I think food, if you look at the development, because when you look at the price increase in food, the food section, it has been 2% each year for like 20 years back. But this year it has gone up to as much as 20% as some months. So that is quite a change.
So your answer is food. What's your answer? What's your guess?
Mine was also food, actually. But it's ChatGPT logic.
Exactly.
I don't really know if it
Yeah.
should be. It can be in consumer electronics. It must be luxury in that case.
So your answer is luxury.
Yeah.
Okay. You're wrong. Consumer electronics and technology industry is highly sensitive to market trends and consumer expectations, making it a leading candidate for the fastest changing segment in retail.
Okay, that's ChatGPT.
That's
Because it's
They have
tech
a
is
catalog
usually
for
changing, but it
software.
hasn't been. Yeah, that was.
and again,
hard
I'm
to-
not saying it's right.
No,
It's just
exactly.
Speaking about the luxury retail, I was really surprised to see it booming during the COVID and during the crisis. Is there any explanation for that?
Yeah, I've heard that it is that. Well, in many countries, people still got paid in what continued to work, or was got paid from the companies or from the government not to work and sitting at home having money, not traveling. So especially in China, I think they consumed huge amounts of luxury goods.
So
And for example, in Sweden, people were like building, renovating their houses and stuff. Like,
so the share of wallet of luxury was just growing, taking some of the parts of the other.
yeah, segments that wasn't possible to do.
So the third question, final one. what has higher potential to become the next big thing in retail?
Oh.
It's a big one. Option number 1, metaverse retail. Option number 2, NFTs. Option number 3, circular economy and rental models.
I think that ChatGPT would answer metaverse because it's biased by the internet. But I think that circular economy is the next big thing.
What do you think?
The same. In real life, we know that metaverse wasn't a success, and NFTs wasn't a success, and circular economy is coming. But I don't know. ChatGPT is maybe logging with historical data.
That's absolutely true. So ChatGPT answered metaverse,
Yeah.
and I was also a bit surprised. The explanation was that metaverse has the potential to revolutionize how consumers browse, try on, and purchase products, interact with 3D models of products, and even socialize with other shoppers.
It's historical data.
It's a historical data, and not sure if it has legs. What is the overall willingness from retailers' perspective to invest into IT solutions that help them to bring those concepts we were talking about before, like omni-channel and new consumer journeys and seamless payment solutions?
I think the big ones, the chains that have the money, they do invest. But the issue right now is that the retail industry has been under pressure for a couple of years. So that's why the willingness to invest, or maybe the actual money they have, isn't that big. So I should say it's necessary to invest in that tech platform so they can be able to be agile, as we talked about, different kind of customers, different kind of services.
What can be your top 3 suggestions or advices for petroleum retailers or convenience retailers who are just trying to explore right now what is the definition of petrol station in the future? So what can be your 3 advices for them to consider when they make this decision?
The first thing is to really thinking about what is your strengths as a company. Who are you? What are you good at? What do your current customers have? What do they like you for? That's a very, very good and important start, because you can't just adapt to everyone else. You are the one you are. And then to really understand your customers, your neighborhood, where are you operating, and what should be relevant there. Is there a high penetration of electric cars, for example, or is it not? Is it close to the city with different kind of vehicles, or are you in the countryside? That's number 2. And my number 3 would be to start experimenting in a small scale. As we talked about yesterday, as IMO market, you can try it out as they do in the tech industry with MVPs, minimum viable products, to see what do people like and what do they don't use. And then you can scale it up, and that will be, the risk isn't that big, and you know that you're kind of pushing the right button.
We have made one project about the payments where we can see that customers are very picky when it comes to payments, and that you can have a wide offering that could satisfy different markets, but that it is very important to have not only a general wide offering, but also to have local options, because Swedes wants to pay with payment providers through payment providers who are from Sweden to a large extent, and we can see the same pattern in all the Nordic countries.
We work with several retailers, but also shopping malls and real estate companies, and there we work or we look into both the retailer's perspective, but also the consumers, but also the society, as you talked about before, or the city, the government, local government there. So we kind of get them together and see, what do we want this place to be like? What is our common goal? And that can be very valuable to look a little bit wider perspective than just your own shop.
So thank you very much. It was a pleasure, and see you in the next episode. Goodbye.
Thank you for having us here.
Thank you.